This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not reflect the opinions of the parent network or any of its other entities. They might not even reflect the opinions of the podcast host. The truth is out there. Here, we're just talking about things. Do your own research.
The jack of hearts will break me. Makes me like Judas, baby. Does he ever go through your mind?
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Blurred Lines. I finally escaped the CIA internment camp that they had me in, and now I'm back to making podcasts. So before we get started, I introduce my amazing guests that I've got with me. I want to give a shout out to, first of all, Black Label Chronometers. Black Label Chronometers, Ryan Babb. What he does is he takes old LPs and he will take your design idea and he turns them into clocks, and not just any clock, but beautiful clocks. And if you have a concept, he will take it and it's just next level. They're absolutely beautiful. So check out Black Label Chronometers. And if you use the code SHANK15, that's SHANK, and yep, boom, right there, JG's Lounge. Yeah, he did that, and it painstakingly so. He took weeks to do that because he wanted it just right. So if you want an awesome clock, check out Black Label Chronometers. Also, check out myvive.com. They have awesome smelling salts. I'll wake you up 2 o'clock slump in the middle of the day if you feel like you're doing this at your desk. Get some My Vibe and it'll wake you up. And also use the code SHANK15 there, SHANK15, and they will give you a nice discount. All right. It is time for Blurred Lines. Now, today's a very special day because I've got 2 of my good buddies. Hello, Pat, and hello, Jukebox. How you guys doing?
What's happening?
I'm doing fine. I'm coming to you live from a hotel parking lot. Nothing nefarious going on. It's just the fact that my wife works early and is going to bed soon, and my neighbors in my duplex have a newborn baby, so I don't want to be like yelling and screaming and stuff. So that's why I'm at the lovely Hampton Inn parking lot.
The classiest of hotel parking lots.
Only the best for you guys. I didn't want to go to no Days Inn or Holiday Inn Express. Man, fuck those guys.
How dare you even suggest? But a Hampton, ooh, that's fancy. Is it? Ooh, yeah. Hampton. Ooh,
at least the weather's nice out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. How was you guys just had an outbreak of tornadoes down in your area? How did you guys get hit pretty hard with the weather, or did that skip by you?
Just storm. I mean, it was stormy, but
yeah, it just rained.
It was heavy for like 20 minutes and done. Got some good pics out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah. The weather has been nutty all over the globe, but we're not talking about that conspiracy today or the end times thoughts there. But they've had reports coming out of China where they are getting some hail that is the size of, well, let's see, what would be a weird American measurement, because we can't just give like normal size, like 5 pelicans big.
I'm pretty sure I heard that somewhere it got like a softball size hail.
Bigger than that. I'll send the pictures to you guys. I wish I had the ability to. I'm gonna have to figure out how to put pictures on this thing one of these days.
It's actually super massive. Easy to show you.
Okay, but when it comes to technology, I'm dumb. Like, I can graduate different colleges all day long, but when it comes to technology, no.
All right.
So, all right. Well, I'm glad you guys are safe, man. I was worried about you guys, but I'm glad you did okay.
Yeah.
All right. So before we get into this, Pat, what do you know about Bohemian Grove?
It's a neighborhood just outside of Pittsburgh. Yeah, they actually take care of your landscaping and snow removal, and house prices are a little higher because of that, but I don't fucking know.
All the electricity is handled by Illuminati Inc. So what did there?
Oh God,
that's good.
You could put that in your little skit.
Yeah, I'll make a little skit out of it.
I will, but are you going to come to my next show?
I'll be at the next one.
Yeah. All right. So Jukebox, thoughts?
So I know it was as now I know it's mostly the members are all government world leaders, big name musicians and actors. It costs $25,000 just to get on the list to get in, and I know they have like 2,500 members, and I know like Richard Nixon and Clint Eastwood and a bunch
Yes.
of Ronald Reagan. They were all like at one part of the Bohemian Grove Club.
Okay. So yes.
I know more than that, but that's a good start.
No, it's a good start. So, all right. So before we jump into this, I mean, we have to address the idea of the psychology behind the cabal, right?
Okay.
Because oh my, so they're getting Pat. They're getting him.
they found him.
Okay.
Oh shit! There's a dude going to his car. Oh no. Never mind. We're good.
So, the psychology of the cabal, because the thing is, history has shown us that yes, there have been groups that have been meeting in secret and running things and making decisions over stuff like that is just history. All right. One of we'll talk about one of in literature, one of the most celebrated stories was how the triumvirate took out Julius Caesar, and he got stabbed the shit out of, and turned around and said "Et tu, Brute," but that was a conspiracy, of people behind the scenes usurping government power. I mean, it has happened throughout, like as I said, as in history. But one of the problems with this that makes it, and this is, I'm actually going to address Pat with this idea first to get his take on it, is that we always want to find a group to point at when there's just things going wrong in the world, stuff we can't explain, power moves that just are not good for society. And it's easier for us to point at somebody and say it's their fault. It's this group of people that they hold all the power and there's nothing we can do, right? But they don't actually exist. All right. So I guess my first question is, we know that in history these groups have existed, but Pat, you first. Do you think in today's modern society that these groups hold sway?
Not as much as we would give them, I don't think. I think that in human nature, like you said, we always look for a boogeyman, or in this case, boogeymen. And sometimes, more often than not, I don't think it's that at all. I mean, you have these secret societies, and, some of them might be up to some nefarious things, aka the KKK. Other ones might just be hanging out and fucking drinking and stuff, aka the Moose Lodge. I mean, yeah, and
Right.
it's a spectrum from all that stuff. But yeah, I think that we give them more power than they actually have, or we attribute more power than they actually have.
So you think it's more of a monsters under the bed situation, and we're just ruled by incompetence at the federal level than it is, some seedy, dark, shadowy cabal?
No, because I think if it was a dark, shadowy cabal running us, I think things would be a lot different than they are now. And I know people are saying stuff like, oh well, they made abortion, they took away the federal abortion rights and this and that. But I think that it would be a lot more control and a lot more just totalitarianism, and instead of throwing us a bone for stuff like that, I think it would just be just a more rigid control. Humans we've proven through history that humans can be controlled like that. You look throughout history, every age of history, as people, even right now, you have people that are just totally being controlled.
Right.
We are not that. We're just a bunch of fucking idiots trying. We're 6 million voices trying to be heard. And whoever screams loudest, uh, is the one that gets listened to.
Okay. Jukebox, thoughts?
I think that there's more to just a face. So like you might have a public figure that you look to as a leader, but there's many other people in play behind them that help make the decisions. So ultimately that person doesn't get to make the final say on it. I'm sure there are groups that exist that do things behind our backs. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but to what extreme? Who knows? I mean, what we know about Bohemian Grove so far is that 2 weeks out of the year, a bunch of world leaders go, 2,500, I think is what the cap was, to this. It's like 2,700 acres in California, and they do whatever for 2 weeks on some private land, and it's all men. So people have questions because it's a bunch of rich dudes going and getting drunk and pissing all over the woods for 2 weeks straight, and they don't want anybody to know about it.
Right. Yeah.
That's what we know.
Right. Well, okay. So, we do have some facts on the Bohemian Grove, but it's as far as like groups that control and things, I tend to believe that there are people, that there's power behind the power. I mean, if you look at things like Vanguard and BlackRock, they own a majority of the companies that exist out there. And when you siphon power to just a few entities, it is very difficult for the people to have any sort of power or say in anything, right? We're seeing that now. But there's always been something like this. The church for the longest time was the enemy because they didn't want people educated, because educated people could read Bibles and books and things and then figure stuff out for themselves. And when that's finally started happening, that's when we had the Age of Enlightenment, right? But,
Well,
yes.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Well, I was going to say, when it I mean, everybody in power, everybody at any level of power or any level of leadership or anything like that is going to be advised. It's going to be, you're not going to make a major decision without talking to your wife. I'm not going to do that, or your wife's going to sway you, or you're going to sway your wife or your family or stuff. So there's always going to be people influence, there's no one person that, even emperors and stuff still have advisors and whatnot. And then you look at today's political climate, I think it's more, especially in America, it's more covered by greed than anything. You have the tobacco lobbyists, you have the oil lobbyists saying, no, you have to do, we have to do this and this and this. You have the pharmaceutical lobbyists that are, no, we have to keep the prices high. We have to do this. And, and they're gonna sway the candidates that they want. It's more greed than, I think it's just more greed than anything.
Yeah. And greed is absolutely a factor, but you have to look at things like at the beginning of the riots, the Black Lives Matter riots, when they caught the police officer smashing windows and they got the video of the one black guy who was like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stop, things like that. And then you see, where they were going to have protests, all of a sudden you have piles of bricks that were set in the streets. And this is proven. This is not me. This is not supposition. This stuff happened. And it's like, okay, who is doing this? It's just like the protests now. There are people that are trying to drive ideologies and things. It's just like the protests on campuses now. They have all the same tents, where these kids are popping up. And then you see like these printed off signs that they are being brought to the campuses and stacked up nicely, and there are students that are at these places going, yeah, there's a lot of people here that we don't even recognize that seem to be very organized in this, where we're just genuinely pissed off about not being able to be anti-Semitic. I don't know what their problem is. but there are people that organize things because they do have agendas. Now, as far as like 2 or 3 dudes sitting in a dark room, you know, controlling everything, I find that to be kind of far fetched, you know.
Right.
But we'll see. We're here to talk about Bohemian Grove, so let's get some facts out. As
Do it.
Jukebox said, Bohemian Grove is a 2,700-acre private facility campground in Monterey, California. It was founded in 1878, and it's in the current-day Samuel P. Taylor State Park. Now, it belongs to a gentleman's club called the Bohemian Club.
Right.
And as Jukebox said, this sausage fest gets together every mid-July for 2 weeks.
Do they have a theme song? Like maybe a Rhapsody?
No, but they have something called cremation of care.
Actually, I thought it was sounded
Is
like
the leader named Galileo?
right.
That's a code name. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad you said it because
Sean, just remember you invited Patrick on this.
I know. I'm glad he's here because I know he's kind of, when it comes to conspiracy theory and being pro conspiracy theory, he's kind of antithetical to that. And you need contrasting. And first of all, I love Pat. I respect his thoughts on things, but you do need contrasting viewpoints so that you could open your mind to more things. You know, if you're just solidly on one side saying, nope, this is just the way it is, you can't expand your mind to the possibilities of something else. Right. But that's why I do this podcast. So let's see. Bohemian Club all membership includes artists and musicians, as well as many prominent business leaders, government officials, former U.S. presidents, senior media executives, and people of power. If you have membership, which you said was $25,000 get in, after 40 years of membership, the men earn old guard status, giving them reserved seating, at the Grove's daily talks, as well as other perks. Now,
I did. This kind of lines up with what you were just saying. I want to just throw this up there real quick.
Yeah.
There you go. If it'll pop up. There we go. Says according to ProPublica, I don't know what the fuck that is, the Bohemian Foundation had a net income of $19,923,321 in 2021, with $89,000 in net assets.
89 million,
brother.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said, guys.
You're gaslighting us on a fucking conspiracy podcast. You're trying to gaslight, you motherfucker.
Yeah, took a few screenshots. I wanted to throw that out there.
But those level. Okay, so first of all, if you just alone look at the people that are at these meetings, that we know are at these meetings, that we have photos and videos of being at these meetings, and we're talking the Bushes and other people. I'm going to go through a list in a little bit here. And the fact that they have nearly 100 million that we know of in assets for a meeting that happens 2 weeks out of the year.
Yep.
Now, they try to, if you look into, and the CIA even has a report on Bohemian Grove, if you want to really deep dive into this. But, you know, they have it where it's like, oh, yeah, and our members can use the campground, bring their families out, you know, and have the kids sit on the Moloch statue where, you know, it's completely inappropriate because if Moloch had his way, they would be murdered in front of him. But so Jukebox, with that amount of money in the doesn't that to you raise some speculation as to what the fuck is going on here?
That just looks like some numbers on some pages compared to what they probably actually have in worth money. You got global leaders all over the world. They probably have money in other countries and banks. And again, it's a private club. I mean, the only reason that they have to expose some of this stuff is because they're a 501c3, whatever. So they have to, like, they're legally required to give us some information, but that doesn't mean that they're only, you know, that's just a cover. I'm sure there's a lot more money going somewhere.
Yeah, wouldn't the irony be the 501c7 or whatever it is? Like, what are you raising money for this year, Bohemian Grove? Oh, for children's charities.
the
What do you think, Pat?
What about
money.
The numbers and the fact that it's a 2 week a year engagement, and just at the surface, they're offering up that they've got nearly 100 million in assets for a 2 week.
And, yeah, and you're talking world leaders and musicians and artists and actors and blah 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 and very rich people.
Yes.
So right now, like 89 million and 107 million or whatever that is, to us, that's a fuck ton of money. To those people, like a $25,000 entrance fee, that would be like us paying $10 to see a movie. So,
And
just because the numbers are big right now, if you're looking at what the well you're drawing from, it's a very deep fucking well. So right now, I'm just saying that, you have a bunch of rich people putting money into this thing. It's going to be a lot of money in that fucking thing. So,
well, and that's just like a tip of the toe in the water. I mean, it's there's people lined up for like 15 years paying that 25,000 before they even get into the club, on top of the 2,500 max that they can have on the property as is.
okay, so right now it's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, basically
it's the fucking Herbalife of cabals.
George Bush is standing up there with plastic around his stomach going, "It works."
If you get a world leader and they get 3 world leaders and they get 5 world leaders. So I mean, right now, yeah, it's a lot of fucking money to me. I mean, $100,000 is a lot of money to me. So, 89 million, I can't even picture that. It's just numbers to me. But when you're talking about people that are making, millions and millions of dollars a year, a $25,000 entrance fee for 2,500 people. What's the math on that? I'm using my phone, so I can't. That's what 5.
It's ridiculous amount. But I've heard that this assessment before that, like, somebody, I think it's 200 million. Somebody that has like $200 million looks at spending 2,000 the way we look at spending $20.
So 25,000 times 2,500 is 62,500,000.
Okay,
that's just for the people who can actively be there. So that's not even including the rest of it.
So
that's per year.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So okay, so it's no surprise that they have a fuck ton of money. How much does it take to run a campground? I mean, fuck, Bill Murray ran a golf course in Caddyshack. He did an okay job,
Well, he only had a budget for C4.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I think I saw somewhere, like, during researching, that the cremation of care ceremony that they do costs about 180 grand to put together and do.
Right. Well, the thing is that we'll get into like what the cremation of care is.
Okay. And how much did Beyonce's last birthday party cost? I mean, so we're talking about rich people shit, rich people doing rich people stuff.
Well, technically, she's a satanic witch, so I mean.
Okay. Taylor Swift's last birthday, fucking,
technically, she's a satanic witch.
Okay, Hugh Jackman's last birthday. He's America's princess.
He is a national treasure. That man.
He is the greatest American we've ever had.
He's an Australian croaker.
Okay, fine. Ryan Reynolds is the greatest American we've ever had.
Morgan Freeman, but
yeah, except for he married his granddaughter. Anyway, your idols have clay feet, gentlemen. All right, so
continue.
All right, so now this is one that I thought was interesting because I've heard multiple ideas, and they admit like this openly that their club motto is "Weaving spiders come not here."
Uh-huh.
What does that leave you with as far as
what kind of spiders?
Weaving spiders come not here. What does that mean to you?
I'll let Patrick try to. I mean, I know the answer, so I'll let him.
Weaving spider, it means there are a bunch of fucking flies that don't want to get caught in a net.
I mean, that kind of plays along with that. Yeah, I know.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
They don't want their blood sucked out of them.
It's so what it's supposed to represent is not bringing work to the club. It's leave work outside the club. So no business. There's not supposed to be any. Yeah, there's not supposed to be any business conducted on the property during the 2-week stay. That's why the motto is what it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, guys.
So
they say that. Oh, I'm sorry, Pat.
Go ahead.
So no work can be done. It's how many people attend this thing a year?
2,500.
Yeah, and so they're all world leaders. How would you
2,500 dudes, prominent dudes. It's a fucking gay orgy. That's all it is. They're covering it up with anything. Yeah, they're touching tips. They're fucking. They're doing a fucking naked conga line, and there ain't no space between. Butts to nuts.
Right.
Well, Nixon did say, and forgive the epithet here, that it was the faggotiest gathering of ridiculousness that he knows of. Yeah, he still attends. But here's the thing. Okay, so if
he does.
If we go with the premise that no work is supposed to be done there, why is it that they brag to their new members that one of the big, selling points of the, great meetings that have happened there is Oppenheimer was there and held a meeting with the S1 committee when they were talking about the Manhattan Project. Right. They brag about that openly. So how can you say on one hand, oh, no work is done here, nothing like that happens here, it's just a bunch of guys getting around going pink, 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 but yet they talked about this thing that if you believe the atomic bomb happened, that it is one of the most world-shaping projects that ever existed.
But realistically, the fact that if they're conducting business or not, and it breaks their own rule, does it really matter?
Well, it's just,
it really doesn't.
It's the veil of bullshit. That's the thing. It's just like, Pat we were talking about the math, right?
Right.
You're talking about, what would we say it was, 69 million?
62.5.
Oh, 62.5
just for the active members that can actually access the property. Not including the waiting list.
Right, but that goes into the Bohemian Club's coffers. But yet they say somehow that their assets are only 89 million. So how is it every year they're pulling down 62.5 million? Right.
And if you read this, it says 25,000 initiation fee. So that's not even the full amount that they're paying.
Right. So do you see what I'm saying? It's just like the numbers don't match. It's like when a U.S. congressman or congressperson goes into office and they're making $100,000 a year, but somehow at the end of 5 years they have a net worth of 110 million, and then they give answers like Nancy Pelosi does, where it's like, I'm just very good at investments. Here we are.
Pretty good at working corners, but I don't have much to show for it.
No, she's wretched. But the numbers don't make sense, right?
Right, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It's just, that's why I said it's just numbers on a paper to throw out there to the public. That's all.
Well, you also said that the one ceremony is $100 and something thousand, and I'm sure they're spending money left and right now, and I don't think they're eating fucking spam and drinking fucking canteen water for those 2 weeks. So
there's like 9 or 10 camps, and I could be wrong, but there's like 9 or 10 camps on this property.
There's a
on
bunch
top of
like
this big lake and stage. There's a lot of shit that happens over that 2-week period.
Yeah.
And yeah, Pat, I 100% agree. They're not eating bar S hot dogs. They're getting ballpark franks.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That's Bohemian Grove.
Fun length.
Bun length. You know what? And they pay the extra so that they get 10 buns with the 10. That's what the elites do. So
they're just going through with 20 flatbeds at Costco. They're like, oh yeah. Big cookout this weekend.
I need 2,500 hot dogs, please.
Okay, so Jukebox brought up the owl shrine and the different camps.
Yeah.
So I'll read on the owl shrine. The owl shrine in the lake, an artificial lake in the interior of the grove, is used for the noontime concerts, which they've had Jimmy Buffett and other folks there performing, which doesn't it just creeps me out. And also is the venue for the cremation of care, which takes place on the first Saturday encampment. It is also location of the 12:30 p.m. daily lakeside talks. That sounds so romantic. These significant informal talks, many public policy issues, again, openly, they say we don't do work here, but they have informal talks on public policy issues. Have been given over the years by entertainers, professors, astronauts, business leaders, cabinet officers, Central Intelligence Agency directors, future and former presidents. So you have these people that basically are in charge of policy that affects the entire world, and they're sitting down for these. Basically, they're having a high school assembly. A couple guys out there talking, everybody's out. But the thing is, they're talking to guys that are like the head of IBM and the head of like these mass Amico, right? These massive corporations.
Right.
So it's one like I went to Camp Tecumseh in Monticello, Indiana when I was a kid, and we went fishing and we fed hogs and we made little feather clip things that we put in our hair. We were a bunch of dumb redneck kids all come together at a campground. All right. That's the stuff you do at camp. What are guys that have net worths that are into the stratosphere doing at this camp, aside from, as Pat surmised, having lots of the gay sex?
Lots of the gay sex. You know,
They're doing rich people shit.
yeah, I mean, it's are they sacrificing children? Who fucking knows, man? I mean, are we ever gonna be able to find out? I mean, they do show even in that the videos that have been leaked, you can see like the corpse being thrown into the pit, but like they say it's just a thing of hay to mimic a child.
Right.
But I mean, there's how many kids a day that go missing? Who's to say that it's not happening? I can't say it's not. I mean, they're rich dudes. I mean, when you have that kind of power, who knows?
Right. And, we know that human trafficking is a very real thing. Right. But, all right. So let's talk about the cremation of care. And then like the next point I really would like to talk about is Moloch. Right. Okay. So the cremation of care is what we're talking about, folks. And it's a theatrical production in which some of the club's members participate as actors, first conducted in 1881. So this has been going on for a while. All right. So it's basically high priest is set up, and the plot is the series hijinks dramatic performance on the first weekend of the summer encampment, after which the spirit of care, slain by the Jinx hero, was solemnly cremated. The ceremony serves as they say it's a catharsis for the pinup spirits and to present the salvation of the trees by the club. This is the thing that they're saying. But the thing is, they are doing it in front of Moloch, all right, the owl god. Now, Moloch, for those of you that don't know and that are turning into this, is a Canaanite deity associated in biblical history with the practice of child sacrifice. All right. Take that alone on the fact that Moloch is the god of sacrificing children too. And this is what these elites are going to. Now, oh, it's just a harmless straw effigy.
Right.
He's the god that they would sacrifice children to.
But what is it that they say that the owl represents?
Oh, well, there are multiple versions of what they say it represents. Now, they say in this one that it represents the ceremony serves a catharsis of pent-up high spirits and to present symbolically the salvation of the trees by the club.
Yes. So
I
they're
mean,
just a nature group. That's all they are, man. They
yeah,
just
it's a
want to
bunch of
preserve
tree
nature.
huggers. Yeah, I mean, I tell you the amount of times Pat and I went out into the woods and burned, kids to help the trees. I mean, that was
If
like,
I had a nickel,
oh,
I
if you had
do
enough,
have I do have a little 30-second clip of what Alex Jones took of the cremation.
yeah,
If you
please.
want to watch it, I don't know how great it's going to be, but here.
In his leafy temple, let all within the grove be reverent before him. Lift up your heads, O ye trees, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting spires. For behold, here is Bohemian shrine, and holy are the pillars of this house. Weeping spiders, come not here.
It's
And
pretty
they're
creepy.
right. Weaving spiders come not here. I mean, I feel like,
I grew up going to a pretty like ridiculous church. So it was like a cult, and that's what I get from that is cult. I mean, that's just based off
right,
of that, you know.
very culty vibes.
Yes.
It's just, were you gonna say something, Pat? Because
I'm finding it hard to believe it's a nature group, just just for the simple fact that you got so many Republicans in there, and what the fuck do they give a shit about the environment? You know, the only green they want is what's in their wallet.
Right.
But yeah, the voice in that, I'm sitting there thinking, it reminded me of fucking Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
okay,
And
so,
they're investing money
yeah.
into this. They even talk about how some of the people that they bring to do the performance aren't even members, but they hire them, like they're actors and musicians to
Yep.
play the parts too.
What do they pay? And
Can I be the weaving spider? I'll be that guy.
what's the catering like? Do I get drink tickets? Is it
Pat's like, I will do a tight 30.
I mean, Sean knows I got 8 minutes on Moloch alone.
Yeah, his Moloch material. You're just gonna be.
Oh man, gotta burn the faces off some kids.
This is an all ages show. No, seriously, bring your kids.
All right. Sorry.
Okay, no, dude. It's. Well, I'm still stuck on the. If I had a quarter for every kid that we burned, I'm just thinking we would have enough money to be able to get into the Bohemian Grove. But doesn't, to me, it's just like the earmarks of it's, if it, like, what's the old saying? If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, must be a duck, right?
Right.
If you have a bunch of world leaders, like these people that, getting access to them at any one time is nearly impossible, and they are guarded on all sides at all times by security and handlers and everything else, but yet they will come together once a year for 2 weeks for this sausage fest. And not only are they there and partying it up, but they're taking part in a ceremony where they are worshiping an owl god who is dedicated to the sacrificing and burning of children. And they want to act like, hey, it's no big deal. It's just a bunch of guys getting out. Like, can you imagine? Okay, you guys didn't grow up. Well, I know Pat did around Indiana. Did you ever hear of like Camp Tecumseh?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay, so it was this really cool like camp that you would see like in the movie Indian Summer or whatever, camps like that near where I grew up.
Or Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, God, place. And Jason's also, if I had a quarter for every teenager. But like if we went to Camp Tecumseh.
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's funny. If we went to Camp Tecumseh, and this is like a serious question, And we were down there, and the counselors were like, okay, kids, we're going to take this baby cries a lot doll, and we're going to burn it on this owl statue that's 45 feet tall, while some dude over a loudspeaker is like, spiders weaving webs, come not here. Do you know how quickly that would make national news?
Oh yeah.
Because of how insane that whole situation is. But now we've got people that affect everything that happens in our lives, from commerce to government, trade policy, everything. And they're going to this camp and they're doing this, and this doesn't seem suspect at all.
I mean, it's a club. I mean, I don't know.
Dude, clubs,
really, that's what it is. You can do whatever. I mean, I could start a club today, and it could be a nudist camp out in the middle of nowhere for 2 weeks, and we could fucking talk about some sacrificial beast in the woods that we made up. And I mean, yeah, it's weird, but you can do it. I mean, there's nothing saying you can't. They just have to have money, and they can do this whole stage performance. Now, this isn't me arguing with you, because I actually do agree with probably some of the stuff that you're saying. I just want to kind of bring to light some of the other, views that are probably going to be going on.
Sorry,
I mean, reality. Like,
I'm digging into a trigger point.
I think the reality behind even the facts and everything, the only thing out of everything that I researched that would make this completely just shut down, like, as if we could prove that they were literally sacrificing kids, because the rest of it's like, yeah, it's fucked up. Yeah, I mean, but that's stuff we know they already do anyways. Now they're just doing it privately, and we're just speculating what they're doing.
Right.
Well, also, if you look at let's fast forward 2,000 years, and archaeologists and stuff look back on current day humanity, and they're just piecing things together like we're piecing things with Bohemian Grove, and they're looking at normal church camp, and let's say Christianity is no more, and they're looking at normal church camp, and they're like, you see what these people did? They literally like sang songs of praise and worshiped a fucking zombie. So we don't, I mean, I'm not saying it's not fucked up. It is fucked up. It's bizarre. Whether it's malicious or anything, I don't know. Fucking stupid, fucking rich people shit. Yeah. What I'm thinking, what this started as, it was like kind of a gentleman's club in the fucking 1800s or whenever it started.
Yeah. Yep.
And then it just grew and morphed and just, just with anything, it's like, well, we got to make it bigger this year. And somebody was like, hey, I found out this old fucking Canaan god, Moloch. Let's build a statue to him because we got all this fucking entrance money. Then, how about we sacrifice a baby every year? I'm wondering if it's just this natural progression to where it's got to be bigger and bigger, just like the fucking Super Bowl halftime show. You got to make it bigger and better every year and stuff. And now it's to the point of no return, to where shit's just fucking bizarre if you don't know what's going on. Or it could be that they're doing something malicious. I don't fucking know.
Right. All right. I have a thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
What if the three of us book a flight out to San Francisco? Now, hear me out. We drive up to the Bohemian Grove. We sneak in like Alex Jones did.
Yeah.
We take a single Tootsie Pop and put it on the statue, and then it's if you know joke.
First off,
Mr.
anybody
L.
that has seen my show or any of Jukebox shows, and now your show, y'all know I ain't sneaking in anywhere. I'm a fucking walking cartoon character.
Facts.
Every 2 seconds turning around, Pat. Shh.
Exactly. Why the fuck is Skinny Santa putting a Tootsie Pop on?
Because it's hilarious.
And then
They'd probably just
And
think
then
you were part of the
three
stage
fucking-
act. It'd be perfect.
3 middle-aged dudes. I know I got bad knees trying to run out of there. You just play the fucking Benny Hill theme.
Be going downhill out of breath. The thing is, I wonder too, and I looked this up.
Yeah.
But I didn't do like an in-depth dive on this research. But if timing wise, we started to look at the kind of, how the ebb and flow of politics, and we looked at it prior to the meeting and then after the meeting, and we did go back 40 years and see, like, leading up how things were, and then afterwards how they changed. And I'm just wondering if there'd be a consistency pattern of, after every time they went up there, you saw major policy changes in the world. And if you could attach the people that were there, like we know that, like you said, Clint Eastwood, the Bushes, Clinton, even though he said he never there, he was there. Things like that. I just wonder if you would see that. I didn't see anything where people have done that, but
I'm sure you
well,
would.
But also, I mean, policy, it takes a minute to fucking pass. I mean, you can't just, at least in America, maybe in other countries, they can, change shit pretty quick. But I mean, you have filibustering and stalling, and, it's got to go through the House and the Senate and stuff, and, this and that, and by the time it does get changed, it's, the original form of what it was. Yeah, I mean, I'm talking,
Right.
is distorted and perverted or whatever. So I don't know, at least in America, if that's something like that, and if it's like, music or movies and stuff like that, to, if it's any kind of propaganda or anything, those take, a long time to produce and stuff. And there's a dude that just walked out to his car like the third time, and he keeps on looking at me. It's funny, and I'm like, dude, I'm just making a podcast.
is he in a black suit with sunglasses on?
Huh?
I said, is he in a black suit with sunglasses on?
No, he's in a t-shirt and shorts.
Oh, a meth head. Okay, anyway. He's just out there singing his meth song outside the Hampton, looking for meth. Wonder if Santa Claus got some meth.
That's the remix.
He's talking to himself in his car. He's got to have something on him.
I'm waiting for him to come over here and be like, what do you do? I'm just making a fucking podcast. All right. Just my wife's asleep.
What's that?
And the Liberty Police pull up on me. No, it's about Bohemian Grove. Get out the fucking car. Oh shit.
I swear I'm the guy against the conspiracy theory, officer. It's off the big nightstick. Ow, ow.
All right. Anyway, but I forget what my fucking point was. Now he turned his car around. As you can see, I am nice and bright.
Yes, you are.
Dude, if some shit starts happening, don't get the fuck out of there.
I'm gonna zoom in on your camera. I'm gonna exit me and Sean off, and we're just gonna let it.
No,
run.
he like spun his car around. I don't know.
He's not.
I don't know.
Is he on?
No, it's just a dude. It's just a middle-aged dude. He just turned his car. Him and his wife walked out to the car like 3 times. I'm wondering if he's thinking, like, is this guy gonna rob us?
I'm gonna need
Dude,
you
if I did, I'd have a fucking mask on.
You need to promote the show and give him the link if he comes back before we're done, and say, "Hey, we talked about you on this episode. You gotta watch it."
It's just got
Leave a note on his car when we're done. Have you blurred the lines? What the fuck?
Actually, he's gonna walk up and he's got a big pineapple on his t-shirt. Hey, saw you sitting there. What's going on?
What's a meth?
Is your wife cool with it? She wants to watch. Oh,
She thinks you got nice cheekbones.
All right.
All right, back to Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, back to Bohemian Grove. Unless whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, just don't die, dude. Jesus Christ! Like you're in a car, you can be mobile.
No, I know. No, I'm not worried about them. I'm in a well-lit parking lot, fucking Liberty, Missouri. It's like the safest place in the world.
Right.
Unless you account for Liberty Grove, where they worship, like, I don't know, a hedgehog or something. All right. So another thing though is that this thing goes back a long ways. We've talked about, like the secretaries of state, that have been there, but people like Charles Schwab, Rockefellers. Some of the names that when you talk about them, the Gettys, Rockefellers, folks like that, it's just like every horrible thing that has happened to this planet that these people have been involved in, like the pharmacy industry, being created in the school systems, just like every bad thing these people are behind.
Yeah.
Have gone to this thing, and it's, I don't know. There's just so much that goes on that, they dress up as druids, wizards, drag queens. That's another thing too. You talk about the sausage fest and diddling each
because
other.
they don't have any. It's because they don't have any women, so they like have guys dressed in drag to play characters in the thing, and I'm sure they do more than that. But
That's what they did in ancient Greece.
Yeah. There's a lot of gay sex all the way back in time.
Oh, I didn't mean the gay sex. I meant the male actors playing women.
Oh.
I mean,
well, that too. That's what I'm saying.
You might. There might be some. Actually, Jukebox. I just figured out, and this ties up a whole bunch of our shows. We poison the lube.
Yeah, what do they call that though? What do they call that in Japanese where they dress up as a woman? Is that bukkake? Is that what they call that? Sorry, I get those mixed up all the time. Yeah, so the thing is, a few people have go over this, and we'll start to get wrapping up. But 1989. Philip Weiss snuck into the camp and exposed and wrote an article on it. In 1980, Rick Kloger got entrance to the club, and there were a bunch of news stories came up. But that was kind of when the people like publicly started hearing about it. But then what really broke it, July 15th of 2000, is when Alex Jones snuck in and got back out with actual video footage. Right. And when he was confronting people like, Newt Gingrich, that's another big name that was in there, but like he was confronting people. He's like, hey, I've got you on video. And they didn't deny it or anything. They didn't say, yeah, it's this weird thing we do. They would just say things like, well, I disrespect you very much for having broken that confidence.
Yeah.
It's
they do always have very odd responses. Like when people approach them, the responses about what happens there is very short and redirected, or just like it's very odd.
Yeah.
Also politicians, and they're trained, they're masters at that, to redirect and everything. So yeah, they don't answer. You can ask them what they had for dinner and they won't give you a straight answer.
Yeah. And and I want the listeners to understand, as far as what they do at this thing, we're not bashing on people for having gay sex. If they want to diddle each other, they're fine, whatever. Nobody on this day gives a shit about that. It's just cares. More of like the kind of it's one of those things where if you took individually everything that happened, with the exception of the Moloch statue, it really seems like it's not that big of a deal. Like, these important rich folks are getting together. They do that too. It's called the fucking Hamptons. Okay. Right.
Well, don't we have the Build-A-Bear or Build-A-Berg?
Build-A-Berg. That's right. Bush Senior is there with Bush Junior. He's like, and then you put the heart inside of it.
And to add on what Sean said, I just wish Alex Jones would have got a video of all the gay sex going on. That would have been much more interesting
It's
than
entertaining than the
Yeah.
performance.
Right.
Then-
Everybody's
then
like,
Kali Ma, Kali, yeah, whatever the fuck that was.
Kalima. Yeah, but the thing is, if you take the aggregation of all the things and put it together, that's what seems so weird, and that's what all the the conspiracy theories of just like, guys, come on, we know you're doing it, we know that, and you've got now in the center of it, you've got this thing. I think if honestly, let me ask you this: if the sacrificial owl thing, the Moloch thing,
Yes.
wasn't a part of it, would this even be newsworthy at all?
See, so if you line up everything that happens over the course of the 2 weeks, a lot of this is based off paganistic rituals and things like
Mhm.
that. I mean, it defines what a cult would be. It really does. And this is based off of stuff we do know, which, whatever, cults exist. We know that. But it makes it more than just a getaway. It's now business in itself if it's cult related. So, I mean, the owl to me, I mean, it's creepy. And the idea of them, they're actually sacrificing what they call it care. So like all their cares from the year prior, they're giving them up to nature is what they're doing, or some shit like that. But why is it in the form of a little child? That's what doesn't get, I don't get it. So I mean, again, it's a cult. It's not just a, hey, we're getting together for 2 weeks this year. It's a cult. It really is.
Because all their cares are only 1 year old.
Yeah, every year they're sacrificing them.
Yeah, that's the best I got. I mean,
Like, what if I have a carrot that's 3-year-old? Jim, we fucking told you last year.
why didn't you give it up? Now you're stuck with it.
Moloch is
No,
gonna be pissed.
I mean, the Moloch thing makes it weird, but that's just because it's a pagan religion. I mean, if it was a fucking and Moloch was a weird god. If it was a fucking statue of Cernunnos, who is the Celtic god of the forest, would it be a big deal? So
It'd just be weird. That's it.
it would be weird, but not like creepy. You'd be like, oh, okay, like that person at the party that's like, you want me to read your tarot cards? You're like, hey, what the fuck's it gonna hurt? I mean, you're a little quirky, but okay, so nefarious or anything. I mean, when you have so many influential people together, there could be dealings and discussions and all that stuff going on. So, but I mean, it's all speculation as to who's to say whether anything has changed and stuff. I mean, we could be talking, oh shit, Sean and I have taken 8-12 hour car rides and stuff, and we're bullshitting about everything and stuff. And we're, in that car ride, we've solved all the world's problems, I mean, so, people are going to talk about that and stuff, and leave your work at the door or whatever it was, but that's their life. They're not going to be talking about fucking Game of Thrones and fucking what TikTok is trending. They're going to talk about what is relatable to them. So I don't know.
Here's another possibility too. Within everything has splinter groups, right, and cliques and things like that. So even in like the comedy community, you get a bunch of comics together, people will split off into their little groups that they like, and it could be a situation too where like you have the CEO of Jim's Fried Pickles, and he's like, hey, we're going to the Bohemian Grove, we're going to play racquetball, I'm going to fuck Teddy, and then we're going to go canoeing, and they're excited about it. But then when they get there, there are these like subsects, sects, that break off and they're actually doing nefarious works. And I just wonder if like everybody there is involved in chicanery, or if it's like just certain, because it's just like in the Alex Jones video, you see like that transport that drives by and it says Old Guard on it, you know, and it's so reminiscent of, did you guys ever see the Simpsons episode with the stonemasons or whatever it was, where they were basically doing a send up of the Freemasons?
I've seen so many Simpsons, they all kind of bleed together.
It is worth a watch, because Burns actually joined the stonemasons much later, so then he has to like wash Lenny's feet, things like that. But this is what I'm talking about, though. It's like within, even in the cartoon, which has proven very prophetic time and time again. That's another Blurred Lines episode that we're going to do later. You know, they had like certain sects of, you know, like the Old Guard, you have to be a member for 40 years plus, and then you get like all this special treatment. And then
Say 4 or 14?
40, like 40.
40. Okay.
Yeah. And Jones went in there and you see this special transport that's like all decorated and very nice, and these old dudes in the back of it, and it says Old Guard on the side. So it's like all these little things, you know, he goes in there, it's like, man, all of the rumors were true.
Right.
So it just, I don't know, man. It's like, no, we can't put our finger on anything specifically, but again, it's the sum of the parts that, I don't know. It just, it makes it very, very weird. And it's like, you know, do you involve Freemasonry, Illuminati? I mean, do any of these other shadow groups have anything to do with it?
I think what the fear factor in any of this is in people is the fact that it's men of power. I mean, you got a lot of power in one area. What could they possibly be doing? Like we don't, with social, especially with social media today, we know everything. So the fact that people don't see what's going on, of course, they're going to start coming up with their own things. I mean,
Right.
Again, there's lots of facts we do know, but just based off of those facts, it's not hard to do 100,000 spinoffs of what possibly could be going on, you know? So, and again, I think it's just that power factor, the fact that these big name people are in this area. What are they doing? We know it's fucked up stuff. What do we not know?
And that's probably, oh, go ahead.
No, I was
it's
gonna-
a power level. That's
You go.
all. Yeah, I will. No, it's just the power level. And I think that's very significant to all this. It's not just like, you know, the guy that owns the franchise of Dairy Queen in Granger, Indiana, showing up to this thing like, hey, fellas, you want to play pickleball?
Right.
It's like the dudes that, you know, own multi-billion-dollar companies. It's not just one of them. It's a lot of them. And again, they're bringing them all into one spot. It's like, what would draw them to that? You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just strange.
To partake into these rituals, and they get excited about it every year too. Like there's momentum involved in this whole 2-week thing. So like with the rituals and all that stuff going on, it is creepy. It is. Go ahead, Patrick. Sorry.
What if it's something that's not nefarious, but it's all these, you have all these rich people, all these politicians, all these stuff that they can't, they can't associate with the rank and file of humanity because they are so disconnected from them. Politicians can't do that because they're gonna, they can't go to Lake Tecumseh or whatever, because people are gonna be like, "Oh, you got to pass this bill, you motherfucker, you do." So what if? I mean, honestly, what if it's just weird, but it's a getaway for these guys, and the only people they can really relate with is people of their ilk. I mean, if you were at a campground and you looked over and Bill Gates was there, you'd be like, "What the fuck?" And you would want to go over and talk to him. And he's like, "Motherfucker, I just want, I just want to go fishing." So I'm not saying that's what it is, but it's a strong possibility. But at the same time, it's also a bunch of politicians, and they all fucking suck, and they're all a bunch of pieces of shit who don't give a shit about people. They just give a shit about power. And you have corporations who don't give a shit about people. They only give a shit about power and money. Politicians only care about power and your vote. So
Yeah, why not
but-
go meet up with a group of guys that don't give a fuck about money because they have it?
yeah. So I mean, honestly, it's like I'm wondering if it's like a good old boys network. Like, did you ever work at a place where you had like 5 or 6 guys that had been there forever, and they just go fishing by themselves, and you always wanted to go with them and stuff? You're like, oh man, or go golfing or this and that, and you're like, oh man, what if it's just that? I don't know.
It's possible, but I think the point that you brought up is that it's weird. It's like, to me, the people that desire power the most, like that are greedy for power, are the ones that shouldn't have it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like power corrupts, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have a gathering of folks that are like that. And as you were listing them off, you're like, well, these guys love power in this, but these guys love power and it's like, yes, and now we've all got them in one spot.
Yep.
So yeah, it very well could be, because like, you get a bunch of comics talking about commoners.
Do you remember a few years ago, Pat's rant just brought this up to my, I don't know why. Do you remember My Little Pony was doing conventions with a bunch of bronies?
Oh,
do you guys remember this?
Yes.
And it was a huge deal because I remember people freaking out about a bunch of 40-year-old dudes dressed as My Little Ponies and going to these conventions, because it's a bunch of middle-aged dudes dressed as ponies go to these little girl conventions, like show convention. They're obsessed with it. It's fucking weird, but that's all it was.
Yes, but
it
that's
was just
because
really weird.
They buy the My Little Ponies with vaginas, and then they fuck the ponies. That's what's wrong. It's
fucking weird. It's very weird. I'm not arguing with that one bit.
Did you get your fart sparkle? I did. Did you put a pocket pussy inside? Oh,
My little Moloch, my little Moloch
goes wherever I go. Where do my friends keep going?
In a sense, that does play into the same thing, though. Like, the only difference is these world leaders doing some weird ass stuff, and there's so much interest in it because of who they are.
I just thought Christians always say, Jesus said, whenever any two or more gather in my name, I am there. Whenever any 2 or more fucking Bohemian people gather, corruption is there.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, that's the one I honestly think that they just think of ways to make more money, and and damn the consequences. I honestly think they're just a bunch of rich, greedy assholes who are disconnected from fucking humanity. They're on a different level. I'm not saying a higher level or lower level. It's just it's a completely different plane. It's like the fucking multiverse. You have your rank and file people, your regular people that go to work 9 to 5, and then you have your fucking ultra rich people who, George Bush didn't even know how a fucking self scanner worked, or the scanner worked at a grocery store, which I understand now because barcodes are fairly new.
Right.
Before they would type everything in by hand. Anyway, but still, yeah, he's completely disconnected. You have those people that are disconnected from just everyday reality for, hundreds of millions of Americans or billions of people around the world.
Now, if with you saying that, though, it would also make sense that, let's say they were sacrificing children. Okay. Because that's one of the conspiracy theories, is that they're sacrificing children.
Yep.
If they are, we'll never know. Even if we got
and
proof,
if they are, they don't give a
never
shit
get
that
out,
are.
because they'll shut it down and they'll never get caught.
Is that you shoveling children into Moloch?
Yeah, just fucking tossing them in there.
You never know.
Come on,
If they are doing it, they are doing it laughing at the camera or laughing at us, because know we'll never know if they are.
That's the one. That's the
Just-
one thing I believe is 100% fact. They don't give a fuck
They don't.
about the average person. So, you know, they care about money and power.
More
Yeah.
for me,
And
less for them.
Yeah.
so, yeah, you know, they will, yeah. These are the same people that will send your young people off to war and have them, if they come home, they're going to come home either physically or mentally maimed. Nobody comes back from war fucking fine. I can attest to that. If
Right.
they do come home. So if they're going to do that to, you know, the greatest patriots and, you know, send them off to war to defend this great nation, they're not going to give a shit about fucking kids.
No,
You know,
they don't
Yep.
care. Yeah. So
Well,
yeah, there's definitely enough. There's enough fuel for that conspiracy to be fact. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not.
right, but here's my thing with it. Just like so many of these things that they do and try to pass it off as like something else. It's like that old saying, "Don't shit in my hand and call it a Sunday." All right,
Yeah.
quit trying to pass it off as this happy little adult boys camp. Like I've not seen one motherfucker in any video walk out of there with a macaroni necklace. Okay, like not one. So don't tell me it's just some getaway camp. Like
And even if it was, I mean, even if it was that fucked up, why not just say? I mean, there's nothing we can do about it anyways. Just
exactly.
why not? Why hide it?
Except the fact
But
that
they got their
is-
families and all that stuff too, so they don't want
but there is something we can do about it, and this is the danger for them. This is why they're trying to get rid of TikTok and other things. It's the movie was a Bug's Life or no Ants when
Yeah.
the
No, it was
grasshopper
Bug's Life.
with
Yeah, I remember the scene where
grasshopper
they
doing
were
the speech.
sacrificing
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says, one doesn't bother him, but if everybody got tired of this shit and said that's enough, there's nothing they can do if everybody gets together and says we have had enough of these elites doing this strange, crazy shit, and doing the thing that like you guys were talking about, more for me, less for them, because they don't care. They don't care. That taxes are almost 50%, and the policies they're passing are hurting.
How would we be able to do that with nothing to back? I mean, we don't know it's private property. We don't know what they're doing on that property.
Yeah, you get about 50, 60,000 pissed off with guns storming it while everybody's there. There's not a lot they can do unless you drop a bomb from above. Like, I'm sorry, but like there's only so much you can do against that kind of force.
Yeah,
but also what replaces it? You've seen throughout history that people uprise and take something over.
Yeah.
And is the next iteration better or worse or the same? You have people that have wonderful ideologies, wholesome people, and then they start to get power and they're like, oh, well, I have to do this. Now I have to do this. There have been people that were elected into Congress and they were like, hey, I'm going to change this. And, landslide victories and stuff. And, everybody's all excited. And it's like, well, when are you going to do this? Well, I can't because I have to work on re-election. Dude, you just got into fucking office. And now it's just about keeping that power. So, I mean, oh, we can wipe them all out. What do we get next?
Right.
Vacuum. Yeah. Man, I don't know. We're not going to solve any of the world's problems tonight. I think it's one of those things where, again, with the conspiracy theory thing, I've tried to say this again and again to people. Conspiracy theorists, are vilified by those in power because people in power have a vested interest in lying to people so they can keep their power, right? Because they don't do it through positive change. We've seen that. So your conspiracy theory friends, everybody thinks they seem to think it's this march down the road of I'm right, you're wrong. It's not that. It's people holding up mile markers going, guys, look around. If we would all just look around and start doing something about it, maybe things could change. And that's all it is. And that's the whole point of this whole, is just looking at things and saying, think about it.
Right.
So, and I'm
glad
it's a good topic.
It's a good topic. I think the way we kind of discussed it tonight was pretty open ended as far as where you go with it. So it's not like we were trying to say one side or the other.
No, well, I didn't want that because the thing is, you could go down those rabbit holes of, they're sacrificing kids and here's the proof. And, John Terwilliger from Iowa said that he saw this. Like, not, it's like, here's what it is.
Have you met John?
Hey,
John Terwilliger is a stand-up guy. Yeah. Ames, Iowa, through and through. If he says they're sacrificing kids, they're sacrificing.
He's just pulling up with a pickup and they're just crawling all over each other. Got another load for the Moloch statue. Oh, come on in, Terwilliger. It's got the dump bed.
Hey, oh god.
All right. So on that note, because we got to wrap it up, guys.
Yeah.
Let's do closing thoughts. Jukebox, what are your closing thoughts on this?
I think there's a lot of shit that we don't see, but again, I know I've said this before. I think there's a lot that we don't need to see. I mean, it does it benefit us to know whether they do or don't? Like, it doesn't affect me. Whatever's going on that, there's is whatever. It's creepy. It's odd. The stuff we do know is weird, but they're men of power. And like Patrick talked about, when you get to that level of power and wealth, you don't think like we do. So the normal doesn't exist when you get to that level.
Right.
So yeah, I think any of these conspiracies on it could be right, but as we know with most conspiracy theories and theorists, most of them are batshit crazy. I mean, I think there's enough to where you can look into things, but at the end of the day, especially for something like this, does it benefit us to know? I mean, it could for some people, but for me, I mean, it doesn't. Whether I know or I don't know, I'm still going to die eventually, and probably not knowing. That's my closing thoughts. I do enjoy this kind of stuff, though. I love talking about it because I believe there is a lot of fact behind conspiracy theories as much as there is of just wackos. So like, I like to kind of bridge that gap of being able to play both sides. What you got, Pat?
I'm not saying there's not anything going on. I'm not saying there is. I don't fucking know. And honestly, at this point, I don't fucking care. Rich people doing fucking stupid rich people shit. If stuff comes out later, that it's not gonna be like, well, you said no. I mean, if stuff comes out later, okay, and and I think everybody, if nefarious shit comes out, everybody should be held accountable. I don't think that'll happen because if you have money, you have a different set of laws. But I don't know. I think it's just fucking bizarre altogether. But I do hope that somebody does get a fucking video of the CEO of IBM and the fucking CEO of like Hewlett Packard spit roasting Clint Eastwood. That would be fucking.
Oh man, it'd be worse.
You feeling lucky, punk?
I just
now you know why they call me Dirty Harry.
You're gonna get another 12 movies out of this. I just, you know what? I just picture it's like that one South Park episode where they were in that massive writhing pile of men fucking each other so they could stop the aliens coming back from the future. And when it's the same thing in Bohemian Grove where they're just all fucking. Somebody goes, "We fixed climate change yet?" No, everybody keep fucking.
I'm gonna look at the fucking weather map over Bohemian Grove in mid-July, just see if there's a little bit more heat.
A heat signature map.
Yeah, why's it got that one red dot right there in fucking California?
It just sits there and pulses.
It's that time of the month for California, okay?
Oh,
It's there for like 4 minutes, and then it really smells like cigarettes. I don't know.
did the whole force just sigh? All right. Well, guys, thanks so much. This I really enjoyed this because this wasn't like a down in the dirt, like you said. We weren't digging hard. It was just presenting facts and talking about it this time, which sometimes I think is better than like doing some far out crazy like this is just what it is, like it's
Right.
it's up for it's a bunch of supposition. We just got to kind of
Yep.
open our eyes to what it might be. So thanks again. Thanks to Pat. Thanks to Jukebox. You guys were awesome. And thanks to everybody that was listening to this tonight or will be listening to this. Don't forget check out all the wherever you can find podcasts we're at. Check out myvibe.com, Black Label Chronometers. Also, don't forget to check out my other podcast, Sean Shank Redemption Podcast. And outside of that, keep an open mind and do your own research.
See you guys later.
The moon landing was